Welcome everyone to another episode of the Love Approach Project podcast. This is your host, Laura Gutierrez, and today I have a very interesting topic and guest. My guest today is Alison Morris. She is the founder of Alasana Hypnotherapy and Yoga. And Alison is a master practitioner of hypnotherapy, a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming or NLP, a master practitioner of timeline transformations and life coaching, and she's also a yoga teacher. And today we are going to be talking about reclaiming our life with the help of hypnotherapy. So welcome, Alison.
Hi, lovely to see you again.
Yes, you too. I cannot believe that we met like 3 years ago, maybe?
Yeah, close to 3 years ago in August.
Oh my God, yes. So it was amazing to have met Alison at a course that was very profound as well. And since then, I'm obviously learned that Alison practiced hypnotherapy, and I could see her passion for what she did, and also for how she was so passionate about helping others. So when I thought of Alison, I thought, oh my goodness, she's going to be a great interviewee, a great addition to this podcast. So thank you for saying yes, Alison.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
Beautiful. Well, let's begin talking a little bit about you. Let's begin talking a little bit about what got you into hypnotherapy and why you are so passionate about it.
Well, hypnotherapy literally saved my life. If I had not have discovered hypnotherapy, I don't think I'd be here today. And just as a precursor, there may be some trigger points through what I'm going to explain to you. So I'd like to start by, I think, just telling my story on how I got to be where I am.
Please.
Thank you. So when I start my journey, I go back to 2010. In 2010, I was 130 kilos. Wow. I drank every night of the week. I smoked a packet of cigarettes a day, and I suffered very, very badly from depression. I had been diagnosed with postnatal depression when my eldest son, who's now 18, when he was born in 2002. And that was the first time that I'd been diagnosed with depression. But now looking back, I know that I suffered from depression for a very, very long time. And I also know now that since I've done this journey that there was a lot of anxiety in there as well. And I'll talk a little bit through the podcast about what my definitions of depression and anxiety are.
Thank you.
So I was 130 kilos. I was absolutely miserable, and I was on this hamster wheel of life, raising my two boys. My husband traveled a lot for work at the time. He was hardly ever home. I was working a full-time job. I was holding that down as well. But I was drinking every night. And when I say drinking, probably a bottle of wine would be my limit.
Wow.
And I honestly thought the reason I was depressed was because I was overweight. I had not always been overweight. I started to put my weight on at about the age of 25. And I honestly believe, Laura, that when I got thin, that all my problems would go away. And of course, I had tried everything. I'd tried Jenny Craig. I had multiple gym memberships. I'd done Weight Watchers, but the old habits always crept back, and I didn't know why. So I actually went the extreme, and I had a weight reduction operation done. Wow. I had a gastric sleeve. Wow. That's an irreversible operation. Now, the operation was actually really successful. In fact, it was too successful, and I went down to 49 kilos.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and all those photos are off Facebook. They are under lock and key, because when I look at those photos, they're terrible. And I thought I looked amazing, but I was literally a shadow of my former self.
Wow.
But what happened from there was I no longer had my fat suit to hide behind. I couldn't blame my weight on any of the issues that were happening in my life, and my depression got worse and worse. And I started drinking heavier, and some nights I was drinking 2 bottles of wine a night. Yeah. And also I started binge eating again, and I went back up to 85 kilos.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, my life was spiraling totally out of control. And in 2014, my depression was so bad that I tried to take my own life. Yeah, I thank God, or the universe, whoever you'd like to believe in, that I'm still here today. And I knew when I came out of that I'd been given a second chance. And I could keep going on the hamster wheel of life and doing the same things and expecting a different result, or I could step out of my comfort zone and try something different.
Yeah.
So that's what I decided to do. Now, my depression manifested in illness all my life. So from 5 to 17, I'd suffered from tonsillitis, and I had my tonsils taken out 2 weeks before my high school certificate.
Oh.
Then I got migraine headaches, and at 25, I developed epilepsy and was having grand mal seizures. And that's when I started putting on all my weight as well. So, of course, I blamed the anticonvulsants for that. But what happened was at the time, I was on 5 anticonvulsants and 2 antidepressants, and I was still having seizures and I was still really depressed. So I decided that I needed to do something about the medication. I knew inside that the medication wasn't serving me. Yeah. So my GP and my naturopath, they actually worked together, which was an amazing thing for them to do.
Awesome.
Yeah. And over a 9-month period, I came off all the drugs. Wow. And I've been medication free now since June 2015.
Amazing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then, but I was still really depressed. And I was drinking and eating and doing all the things I shouldn't do. And one of my girlfriends said to me, why don't you try hypnotherapy? And I went, got nothing to lose.
Why not?
You know, why not? A couple of $100, an hour and a half of my time. Yeah, why not? Why not? So I did. I found a hypnotherapist, and on the first session, we did a session around stop drinking Coca-Cola, because I was drinking 2 liters of Coke a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I still thought, and I look back on it now, I still thought that was my major problem, that food was my major issue. So we did a session on stop drinking Coke, and she also touched on my self-confidence and self-esteem. And I came out of that session, I'm like, well, that was really weird. If that's what hypnotherapy is, that's weird. I could hear noises outside. But I felt different. It was like something had shifted, and I'd never used that terminology before. I was never a spiritual person leading up to this. And I got home that night, I cooked dinner for my boys. I sat down at the table with them, and my youngest one goes to me, Mummy, where's your wine? And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, wow. I hadn't needed the wine as a reward. Oh, wow, I made it to 5:30. It's time for a drink, or as a need to escape. And I thought, wow, okay, there may be some merit in this stuff.
Yeah.
So I had a few sessions done, and then she said to me, oh, we're doing this weekend course. You should come along. You'll learn some tips and tricks on, how to improve your life. And I thought, okay, that sounds all right. And I came home and I said to my beautiful husband, there's this course I'd like to go. And he's like, well, I'm going with you because you're joining a cult, and, they're gonna control your mind. And so we did. We made a weekend out of it. I was a very successful teacher at TAFE at the time. I was teaching Advanced Diploma of Leadership and Management and Advanced Diploma of Work Health Safety. I was good at what I did. I did like what I did, but it wasn't soul-filling. My husband turned around to me on day 2 and he looked at me and said, you're quitting your job on Monday morning, aren't you? I went, absolutely, I am. Absolutely, I am.
Wow.
I knew I'd been given a gift. I knew I'd been given, a basic set of tools that if I did more research and study, but more importantly, more work on myself, that I could potentially help others make changes in their lives. So that's what I did. I chucked in my job. And on the 1st of February 2017, I officially opened my hypnotherapy business, and I met you in the August. So just at the very beginning of my journey.
My goodness, that gave me goosebumps, Alison.
Thank you.
It's such a powerful transformation, the one you're sharing. My goodness.
Yeah, wow. And I'm 51 now. I became a yoga teacher at the age of 50. I started this journey at the age of 47. I look back at my life and how it was, and it's totally changed and transformed and morphed into something that I could never believe possible, would never, and still don't know what's on the other side. And I'm just happy to follow the journey.
Alison, what a fantastic and beautiful example you give us all. It's never late. It's never too late.
No, never.
This changes. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Alison.
My pleasure.
And so, let's get now into a little bit of the topic of today. So, what is hypnotherapy, Alison? How does it work?
It's great. So, there's 2 parts to your mind. There's your conscious and your unconscious mind.
Uh-huh.
Your conscious mind, your action doing part of the brain. If we're having a chat now, it's the part of the brain that made you reach out to me and say, hey, Al, I'd like to do a podcast with you.
Yes.
So your conscious mind controls 10% of what we do every day. It's the action, it's the activity, it's the, okay, need to get up at 7 a.m., need to be doing this, need to be doing that.
Yeah.
Then we have your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind actually controls 90% of what we do every single day, yet no one pays any attention to it. It's the part of the mind that actually needs a lot of tender loving care, yet it's the part of the mind that we don't give any attention to.
Interesting, huh?
So yeah, it is. It really is. And hypnotherapy works through, I do conversational hypnotherapy. And with conversational hypnotherapy, we do a deep guided meditation, then take you down into hypnosis. The hypnotherapy portion of my session is equivalent to 7.5 hours of deep, deep sleep.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And it's so relaxing. It's better than a massage, I think. And what we do is, while you're under hypnotherapy, we have a conversation with your unconscious mind. And we put suggestions in your unconscious mind about different ways that it can think and act and feel and do, and ways that it can allow you to make changes and become unstuck if you're feeling stuck in your life.
That's fantastic. So basically, anyone who, I would say everyone, has some kind of unconscious belief or pattern of behavior or programming that in a way is stopping us from moving forward or doing what we really want to do and living that life that we want to live.
Absolutely.
So we can all benefit from hypnotherapy.
Yes, we can. And the most interesting thing is that those beliefs that we have been instilled into our subconscious mind by other people.
Yeah.
So we didn't come into this world as a baby thinking that happiness, for me to be happy, I had to have a mortgage, I had to have a full-time job, I had to have 2.5 children, I had to be married, none of that. All those beliefs have been instilled in us by society or our parents or the church that we go to or the school that we attended. And all of those beliefs, when we don't achieve them, we can think we're a failure.
Yeah. Yes.
We're never actually failing.
Yes. Yes. And I find that topic fascinating because I believe we are in an era in which we have been given the opportunity of reclaiming our life, of really paying attention to what it is that we want to be living, what path do we want to follow, Yes. But then we find the blockages, of course, of that old programming. And so therapies such as hypnotherapy can actually support us in that process of going, okay, this is it, enough with the old programming. Let's move forward.
Absolutely. And the awareness of that you're actually doing it. So a lot of the old programming is mindless. Like my old programming was opening a bottle of wine every night at 5 o'clock and didn't even think about it. And now, if I was to even consider having a drink, I haven't had a drink since the 23rd of September last year. And that's a choice that I made, not to drink. And whether I'll do it forever, I don't know, but that's a choice I've made for right now. But it's very conscious now for me that if it's a Saturday night, my husband's having a gin, it's like, oh, do I want a gin and tonic? No, I don't drink.
Yes.
So it's the mindless things. It's the mindless sitting on the lounge and opening the packet of Tim Tams and eating the whole packet of Tim Tams and then going, oh my gosh, how did I get to the end of the Tim Tams?
How did this happen? Yes. I love what you're touching on, that consciousness, that awareness, that it has become, I've seen it become bigger and bigger in terms of that's our key, that's the door to empowerment.
Absolutely. And I'll be really honest with everybody. Potato chips are still my most favorite thing in the whole world. Like that's my Achilles heel is potato chips. But I no longer sit on the lounge every night with a great big bag of potato chips. If I feel like chips, I will get a small packet out of the cupboard and I'll count 10 into a bowl and I sit and I enjoy those chips. So it's also too, when we're making the changes, so important not to punish our unconscious mind by saying you can't have the ice cream and you can't have the chocolate and you can't have the drink. It's more around the, yes, you can have it, but let's you have control over the intake of what you're having.
Yes. And so, Alison, someone, let's say, comes to you with a pattern or behavior that is not helping, let's say smoking or drinking or overeating, or a fear or a phobia. So how do you help them out then? How do they replace that?
Okay, great question, because it's not actually necessarily replacing. It's not replacing. With hypnotherapy, you can remove altogether. So if we look at the let's look at the addictions first, and then the fears, if we can, because they're two totally separate things.
Let's do it.
So, well, are they two totally separate things? Now I've said that. So with every underlying issue, whether it's fear of flying or smoking cigarettes, there's a root cause reason as to why you're doing the behavior in the first place. And in my opinion, it all comes back to anxiety and depression. So when we are happy, we'll be exercising and we'll be eating the right food and we'll be, fueling our body with the right thoughts. We'll be doing all of that. Now, when we start to suffer from a little bit of depression or anxiety, what we tend to do is we stop doing what's good for us.
Yeah.
So you will notice, if you talk to people about their habits, what will happen is, when I'm happy, I don't eat as many potato chips, I don't need to have a drink, I don't need to smoke as many cigarettes. But as soon as I start to, what society deems as spiral, I stop doing the yoga, I stop eating the good food, because I'm punishing myself.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm punishing myself.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I was just thinking about what I used to do when I used to feel very anxious, or when I used to drink, and yes, it's exactly what you're saying.
Right. And it's like when you are told these things and that doorway opens and you can see it for the first time, it's like somebody shone a light in your face. It's like, this is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. So what I do is I do hypnotherapy a little bit different to most people that I know. And when you come to see me for a first session, I deal with setting the solid foundation for you to make any change in your life. So what I've found over the 3 years, if you come to me just to do a non-smoking session, we could do the non-smoking session, you'd walk out and you'd be successful, but 3 or 4 months later, something would happen in your life and you'd go back to the old habit.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Understand.
So what I'd like to do is something a little bit different. I actually like to set the foundation for you to make any change. So what we're going to do in the first session is we may deal a little bit with the anxiety and depression. We may deal a little bit with you just taking control of your life. And in regards to that, it means stop controlling everybody else around you.
Yeah.
But focus on you and your emotions.
Yeah.
Because when we start to spiral out of control, what we like to do is control everybody else around us. The kids, the husband, the dog, the friends.
That's the illusion.
Yeah, right.
So we have that power.
That's exactly right. So then everything else seems to be, okay. But in actual fact, it's not. So if we let you lose some of the control about everything around you so that you can gain the control of yourself and your emotions, everything just falls into place. So you might come to see me for a non-smoking session. We don't touch smoking on the first session. And you'll come back to me in a month's time and go, I've cut down from like 30 cigarettes a day to 10 cigarettes a day.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because your unconscious mind then goes, wow, okay, I've got an open playing field here. What's the most important thing for me to change?
Wow.
People come and they'll say, they might have come for a non-smoking session and their anxiety is so high and they're telling me they're so stressed and that's why they smoke. And I'll check in with them a week later and they'll go, well, you know what? I really haven't seen a change in the smoking, but I am so relaxed and nothing's getting to me. And then I'll check in a week after that and they're going, now my smoking's decreased.
Yes. And I just love what you're talking about, because we go back to the topic of, it's not the symptom, or it's not that thing that we think is the problem. It's the underlying root cause of that.
That's exactly right. So that's addictions, and then fears and phobias. If I take fear of flying, for example, because that's a great one, and you can have instant results with fear of flying. It's all just, it's a pattern, and we do a pattern interrupt. And instead of getting on a plane being a fearful thing, we talk about the joy of the journey and the joy leading up to the journey. I had one of my most successful fear of flying clients was booked to go on a holiday to LA, and she was even thinking of cancelling. Wow. This young lady couldn't even drive past the airport without getting anxiety. Like, it was that strong in her. Wow. Because she'd been on a plane once where they'd lost altitude and it was all turbulent. Wow. And that's how her fear became real to her.
Of course, yeah.
With the fear, we did one session. Her test was she drove past the airport the next day and she didn't feel anything. And then the next thing, she's messaging me from LA. She literally got off the flight from LA and messaged me going, "Oh my God, that was amazing. That was insane. It was so cool. I really enjoyed it." So with fears, you know, I've had really obscure fears. I've had somebody that had a fear of peacocks.
Wow. Okay. Yes.
And you know, birds, but no, this was peacocks, but it affected her because she was a school teacher and she couldn't go on school excursions with the kids in case there was a peacock at the zoo.
Of course, yes. Oh wow. Wow. Yes.
And you can tell with a fear how instantaneous it is, because what I generally do for my sessions, if you came to me for a fear of spiders, I would show you a picture of a spider and to gauge your fear reaction. And at the end, I'd show you a picture and there'd be no reaction at all to it.
That's fantastic and so empowering and liberating, Alison. Yes. I think we don't realize how much in fear we live nowadays. Yeah. Like
constantly in fear.
Yes.
Constantly.
Yes. And I think it's also a question of how am I going to let the outside information, content, data, etc. affect my mind state.
That's right.
So great. Thank you for sharing all of that, Alison. It's really, I think for everybody, it's going to be a way of like learning, you know, and of going like, oh, wow, yeah, actually I do that. Or